Thank you, Ryan. That just sounds so beautiful up here. I think we ought to do a recording. It's just great. All right. I want to welcome you to this gathering hosted by the Unitarian Universalist Church of Bowling Green. Whether you are here in person or online, we are so glad that you're joining us today. My name is Valerie Brown, and I will be your service associate today. One little housekeeping item, please turn your phones or your watches or whatever dings to silent so that we can be fully present with one another today. This service is being live streamed. If this large room isn't comfortable for you, you can go to the Baloo Lounge, which is right next to the entrance of the building, or across the way to the fellowship hall, and watch this online. However, whoever you are, however you identify, wherever you come from, and whoever you love, you are welcome here. Our Sunday services are different each week so that we can honor and learn from a wide array of traditions and beliefs. Today, our speaker is our own Ryan Thomas, who will be talking with us about the consequences of dehumanization. Very appropriate for the events that have taken place this week, and I'm sure you will find a lot to think about. For Unitarian Universalists, the flaming chalice is a symbol of the light of learning and the love of our community. Today, our chalice will be lit by Belinda, and we invite you to light your own chalice at home. Laura will have a reading for us.
The chalice, as a symbol of Unitarian Universalism, arose as a beacon of hope in an atmosphere of tyranny. The chalice arose as a sign of promise that the marginalized would neither be forgotten nor ignored, because they are beloved and precious from the perspective of the holy. This morning, we remember all of the people who have been told explicitly or implicitly, through police violence or governmental policy, through derision or dehumanization, that they are anything less than whole, anything less than beloved. As we each light a chalice in our homes, may we make of our lives a beacon, a symbol of our promise to draw the circle wide, a sign that we will not rest until all means all.
Please join us in singing hymn number 362, but the words will be on the screen. Rise up, O flame. This morning, Kay will be giving our opening reading.
Religion at its best. Religion is as much about faith in humanity as it is about faith in deity, and many of us will find that over and over, our faith in humanity gets tested. We're immersed in a culture that's deeply corrupted by selfishness, greed, and oppression-born privilege and fear. It's all too easy for us to justify the dehumanization, ostracization, suffering, and death of others. It's all too easy for us to devalue some human lives and feel somehow like we're still good, upstanding, moral people. Religion at its best asks us to do better than this, to rise above the selfishness and status seeking, the othering and xenophobia that come so easily to us. Religion at its best, and our Unitarian Universalist faith, calls us to honor that which is sacred in each person, even those we might hate, even those who we find disgusting. It impels us to accept on faith that there is a sacred spark, a worthy spark in every person. This can sound mundane, but it's very radical, revolutionary even. Each person sacred, each person worthy. Accepting this on faith changes how we live. And this time, when so many of us live in fear of a dehumanizing political regime, let us renew our pledge to live out those sacred and humane teachings that draw us toward compassion, love, and justice in ever-widening circles of care. By Sarah Gibb Millspaugh.
Ryan will lead us in our principles.
Normally we read these together. I'm just going to read them, and we won't read them together because I want to just be able to emphasize certain things for today's talk. These are principles that we've had for quite some time. The inherent worth and dignity of every person. I'm just going to say that one again. The inherent worth and dignity of every person. Justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. Acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth. A free and responsible search for truth and meaning. The right of conscience and the use of the democratic process. Seek to dismantle racism and other oppressions.
Thank you, Ryan. We're now going to have our children's recessional. And the children will go to their own religious exploration, and I see several with us today, so let's sing the children out with Go Lift It Up. Let's take a few minutes for meditation, reflection, and prayer. We have the readings this morning to reflect on, and I know many of you have thoughts and concerns and joy in your hearts. The singing bowl will lead us into silence, and after the silence, you're invited to join in the spirit of life. And the words will be on the screen. As was mentioned earlier, our speakers have a wide array of beliefs, and the speakers at our Sunday services come from many traditions. Today, Ryan Thomas will share their thoughts with us. Ryan is a member of this congregation and a current member of the board of directors and a Unitarian Universalist since 2001. Ryan is active in the broader Unitarian Universalist movement and has been a delegate from our church, UUCBG, at the Unitarian Universalist Association. We just call it the UUA General Assembly in recent years. So let's welcome Ryan to the podium.
We will work with each other, we will work side by side. We will work with each other, we will work side by side. And we'll guard each man's dignity and save each man's pride. And they'll know we are Christians by our love, by our love. Yes, they'll know we are Christians by our love. Obviously, some of you know that hymn.
27 years ago, when civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated,
that you'll know we are Christians by our love is based on John 13:35. I no longer consider myself a Christian theologically, but I was raised to understand that Christianity was about love, about charity, turning the other cheek, being the Good Samaritan, about humility and service to others, especially those who suffer. I believe Christianity is, in some of its manifestations, something like what Jesus could appreciate. Another passage from John reads, I tell you, no servant is greater than his master, nor is a messenger greater than the one who sent him. From Matthew 25, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger and invite you in, or needing clothes and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and go to visit you? The king will reply, truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. I came to understand that Jesus called upon his disciples to follow his example. The way of love, the way of charity, the way of advocating for the downtrodden, the maligned, the sick, the meek. Wednesday of this week, the day Charlie Kirk was shot and killed in Utah, was a rough day for many. It was a rough day for me. I couldn't sleep that night. And you know, when I have shared about how it affected me, I've been a little surprised by the response. Surprised because when I expressed that I couldn't sleep, it seemed it was presumed that my troubled feelings were for or about Charlie Kirk. They seemed to wonder why I might be feeling sympathy for someone like Kirk, or perhaps even wonder if I think that people should feel sympathy for Kirk. But my troubled feelings weren't really about Charlie Kirk. I do feel sympathy and sorrow for Kirk and his loved ones, the suffering that they are going through. but I have no interest in telling people how they should feel. My feelings of sympathy and sorrow weren't what kept me awake. Charlie Kirk was once asked in an interview I saw recently how he would want to be remembered. He replied, "As a man of faith." His Christian identity and his efforts on behalf of his faith were what he most wanted to be remembered for. I trust people by now know who Charlie Kirk was and his work to promote his religious and political ideas. He was skilled in debate and became a scion of the religious and political right. I don't really care to focus much on Kirk himself. I think there are many reasons why this event troubled me. Perhaps one of the simpler explanations for my feelings is the fact that speech was responded to with violence, lethal violence. Noam Chomsky said, "If we don't believe in freedom of expression for people we despise, we don't believe in it at all." S.G. Talentier, a contemporary of Voltaire, said, "I disapprove of what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it." This thinking is part of what we call classical liberalism. Classical liberalism, is, in a nutshell, is the protection of personal freedom or liberty. It was a core concept during the founding of our nation. It is conceptually very closely related to our UU first principle, asserting that each person has inherent dignity. Further, I believe this first principle of ours undergirds our principles 2 through 6 for what is justice or democratic process without a sense of who is entitled to it. What does pluralism mean without valuing each person's right to dignity? The use of violence to quiet voices you disagree with is very troubling to me, because freedom of speech is so elemental to individual liberty. If you can't speak your conscience without fear of punishment, your dignity is inherently at risk. But it wasn't even that kept me awake. Regardless of who the killer was or what motivated the act, because of who Charlie Kirk was, this act has turned Charlie Kirk into a martyr for the far-right conservative movement. This act is having the effect of a rallying cry for the extreme right, a rallying cry to demonize those who disagree with Kirk, to demonize those who would fail to honor the principle of free speech, generalizing to the whole party of Dems or the whole community of liberals, and to justify the galvanizing of commitment to fight. What kept me awake was witnessing the depth of anger, fury, moral outrage, and the sense of readiness to fight. I am, and the people whose values align with my own are, the targets of their anger. One of the things that was jarring for me Wednesday was how similar what I was seeing was to something else I have witnessed. In the aftermath of school shootings, the deaths of those such as George Floyd, the politically motivated attacks such as the killing of Melissa Hortman, the overturning of Roe v. Wade, a number of recent events, the same words and the same tenor of shock and disgust, of revulsion, of fight. Words like despicable, deplorable, crazy, evil. A phrase like, "What is wrong with you?" It was familiar. It rang in my ears. In a recent conversation with one of us, I was reminded that in 2008, a UU congregation in Knoxville, Tennessee experienced a shooting. Knoxville, Tennessee, a socio-political context very similar to our own. The shooter stated, "They embrace every pervert that comes down the pike, but if they find out you're a conservative, they absolutely hate you. They absolutely hate you. I know. I experienced it." There was another recent moment when I felt called to examine my own biases. For those of us who joined me for the Ware Lecture watch party a few weeks ago, you may recall the speaker, Imara Jones, celebrated our written values, including the inherent dignity of every person. And she, a transgender black woman, elaborated on the ways that right-wing strategists have identified and used transgender issues as a wedge issue because they know there is discomfort with transgender persons and issues even among liberals, even among feminists, gay persons, persons of color. Enough division to impact elections. Moments before the shot rang out on Wednesday, the topic of debate was not only mass shootings and gun violence, but mass shootings perpetrated by transgender persons. Kirk's last words were an attempt to deflect a point his counterpart was trying to make about how statistically rare it is for a transgender person to commit such an act. I believe passionately in the freedom of speech. I hope you do too. I think it is a reflection of our values, our UU values. And I am worried about where we are headed. Worried about the cost and consequences of dehumanizing speech. Dehumanization. What are the consequences? I think many people, when they hear dehumanization, they think of the Holocaust. We try to imagine how people could commit such atrocities so callously towards Jews, homosexuals, the disabled. Others think of what is happening now in Gaza. So let's get clear on what I mean by dehumanizing speech. It is that, but it can also be more than that. The following is from a 2024 article in World Psychiatry titled Dehumanization and Mental Health by Nick Haslam and available from the National Library of Medicine at the National Institute of Health. Dehumanization is a fearsome word, calling to mind the gravest atrocities of the past and present. People seen as less than human have suffered and suffer violence, deprivation, exclusion, and dispossession, and that suffering has been and is routinely ignored or minimized. However, although dehumanization is usually understood as an extreme phenomenon confined to wars, genocides, and conquests, it falls on a spectrum. 2 decades of social psychological research have shown that it has significant repercussions in everyday life. The burgeoning literature on dehumanization offers some key insights. First, dehumanization ranges from blatant and verbalized, maybe something like they're rapists and murderers, to subtle and unconscious. People can be explicitly likened to animals. We've heard political leaders recently referring to immigrants or members of opposition as dogs and vermin, but also implicitly denied fundamental human qualities such as rationality, stupid or idiots, self-control, crazy, and complex emotions. Second, dehumanization takes varied forms, from seeing others as bestial or robotic to rejecting their individuality, such as patients when doctors only see them as their diagnosis, or agency, slavery. In addition to reducing social connection, dehumanization increases tendencies to actively harm people and to tolerate harm perpetrated by others. At a more systemic level, dehumanization based on race, social class, and immigrant status may reinforce the public acceptance of social disadvantage and economic hardship. Many of you will recall the story of Jane Elliott, a teacher in Riceville, Iowa, who in 1968, on the day after Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated, conducted an experiment in her third grade class. Could you show that video now?
27 years ago, when civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated, grief and frustration erupted in America's cities. And far away in Iowa, one third-grade teacher knew she had to do something.
The shooting of Martin Luther King could not just be talked about and explained away. There was no way to explain this to little third graders in Riceville, Iowa. I knew that it was time to deal with this in a concrete way, not just talk about it, because we had talked about racism since the first day of school.
This is a fact. Blue-eyed people are better than brown-eyed people.
It was a daring experiment in prejudice.
I watched wonderful, thoughtful children turn into nasty, vicious, discriminating little third graders.
Can one teacher in one day change the lives of her students forever? Tonight, a class divided.
Thank you. If you haven't seen that, it's available, the whole thing is available on YouTube. I watched wonderful, thoughtful children turn into nasty, vicious, discriminating little third graders. Very truly, I tell you, no servant is greater than his master, nor is a messenger greater than the one who sent him. A new command I give you: love one another. As I have loved you, so you must love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you love one another. There are hundreds of theological isms: agnosticism, asceticism, Buddhism, deism, monotheism, paganism, etc. People can ascribe to multiple theologies. They are not always exclusive one of the other. One can be Buddhist and a pagan and a religious naturalist. Theologies can be layered rather than singular, especially perhaps for use. Very prevalent in Unitarian Universalist theological circles is liberation theology. Liberation theology is a theological approach emphasizing the liberation of the oppressed. The term originated among Latin American Catholic theologians in the 1960s. It often engages in socioeconomic analyses, emphasizes social concern for those marginalized due to their social class, race, ethnicity, gender, etc. So based on that description, does it make you think of anything? What comes to mind? For me, I'll call out three things. A whole bunch comes to mind, but for one, simply Jesus and his example. Jesus cared about the poor, the sick, the oppressed. He called us to follow his example. Two, liberalism. Not classical liberalism, but liberalism in the contemporary sense. The contemporary term liberalism is often marked by concern for the oppressed. People who place a high value on compassion and empathy for the less fortunate. This is why liberals are called bleeding heart liberals. The Unitarian Universalist commitment to its first principle and its stated aspiration, the UUA's stated aspiration for all people, not just LGBTQ+, to thrive. Note the relationship I'm drawing between Jesus, liberals, and Unitarian Universalism. You may recall that the most recent pope was from Latin America and a proponent of liberation theology. He was considered liberal. Chomsky said, "If we don't believe in freedom of expression for people we despise, we don't believe in it at all." I think Amara Jones was saying to us, Unitarian Universalists, if you don't believe in the right to dignity of people who may make you uncomfortable, you don't believe it at all. Escalating polarization of political views, escalating use of dehumanizing language, escalating political violence. I will spare you references and quotes about the impact of social media, what Heather Cox Richardson and other academics have said about the causes of these escalations. I doubt anyone here needs convincing. On Friday, the UUA put out a message in response to the events of the week. You may have noticed the full message was posted to our UUCBG Facebook page yesterday. Note the use of some keywords from our values and principles like love, justice, democracy, compassion, liberation. Beloveds, we offer the following message of spiritual sustenance to our faith community in a painful moment. As Unitarian Universalists, we are called to care for one another. Returning to a new congregational year, we are reminded that we are always in the process of reconstituting beloved community. When political violence becomes tragically normalized, those who work for justice must contend with very real and escalating risks. Each of us has a role to play in protecting our democracy, in our congregations, in our neighborhoods, and in our shared movements for justice. We navigate this time together, recognizing that we are truly bound together in a web of mutuality. Our individual actions, those made in love and those made in fear, anger, or despair, have consequences for us all. This is a time for loving and rigorous discipline in our words and actions, a time for strategic courage and courageous strategy. We must work in deep partnership, choose how we spend our energy with attention and intention, and stay unwaveringly focused on our long-term goals for liberation. Let us commit to building conditions where love, safety, and justice can flourish. Let us hold one another accountable with compassion and recommit to all that our values call us to be, steadfast in love, courageous in care, and unwavering in the work of justice. What do we need discipline, courage, and strategy for? I submit this post from a top official in the current administration on September 11. There is an ideology that has steadily been growing in this country which hates everything that is good. righteous and beautiful, and celebrates everything that is warped, twisted, and depraved. It is an ideology at war with family and nature. It is envious, malicious, and soulless. It is an ideology that looks upon the perfect family with bitter rage, while embracing the serial criminal with tender warmth. Its adherents organize constantly to tear down and destroy every mark of grace and beauty while lifting up everything monstrous and foul. Monstrous and foul. It is an ideology that leads always, inevitably and willfully, to violence. Violence against those who uphold order, who uphold faith, who uphold family, who uphold all that is noble and virtuous in this world. It is an ideology whose one unifying thread is the insatiable thirst for destruction. We see the workings of this ideology in every posting online cheering the evil assassination that cruelly robbed this nation of one of its greatest men, posting from those in positions of institutional authority, educators, healthcare workers, therapists, government employees, reveling in the vile and the sinister. Reveling in the vile and the sinister with the most chilling glee. The fate of millions depends upon the defeat of this wicked ideology. The fate of our children, our society, our civilization hinges on it. Now we devote ourselves with love and unyielding determination to finishing the indispensable work to which Charlie bravely devoted his life and gave his last measure of devotion. I also submit this. People are seeing very different things. This incident is creating scenarios where family members or friends are not understanding the other side's posts or expressions, not because they disagree or agree, but because they had only seen content fostering a particular view of this person from one side or the other. When I hear this call for strategy, discipline, courage, part of what I think about is concern about the efficacy of our messaging. How do we improve the chances that we are seen by fellow open minds as those not overly partisan or ideological, not unhinged or soulless, not the ones using language that spurs political violence? The stakes are high. Charlie Kirk was asked what he most wanted to be remembered for, and he said his faith. For some, he will be remembered for it in just the way he hoped. His contributions might have remained somewhat obscure to history, but Wednesday's act elevated his historical significance. What history will say, I wonder. My question to you, when you hear, they will know we are Christians by our love, they will know we are Christians by our love. Does that make you wonder by what you use are known? Especially as it relates to times like this. If someone were to learn that you are a member of or a friend of your local UU congregation, what impression do you aspire to for yourself and for us? What do people know Unitarian Universalists by? What do we want people to know Unitarian Universalists by? If those two things are not the same for you, I invite you, if you see a difference, if you are yearning for something different, let's talk. Let's figure something out. This is ours. This is our community, our beloved community. May we consider the ways in which we, for ourselves, may need courage and discipline for what lies ahead. May we find a way to work together, side by side. May we find a way to guard the dignity of every person, regardless of our comfort or our affinity for their ideas. May we be a beacon for one another and to those who need a place where they can thrive. Thanks.
Thank you, Ryan, for sharing your thoughts with us today on this important topic. If you have questions about Unitarian Universalism or about joining this congregation, please speak with a member of our membership team. Their name tags have an open book symbol. And would you raise your hand, those on the membership team? Thank you very much. You can also email membership@uucbg.org. On the second Sundays after the service, you can join in a question and answer session with our membership team in the library. Let's move on to our offertory. This congregation and the work we do is supported by the voluntary generosity of all who contribute. The offering is a sacrament of the free church. You may place your donation in the plate as it comes to you, or you can use the QR codes on the screen or donate via our website or mail checks directly to the office. As we enjoy the music, the offering will be given and received in grateful appreciation of our shared hopes and values.
There is more love somewhere. There is more love somewhere, and I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more love somewhere. Please sing with me. Hope. There is more hope somewhere. There is more hope somewhere. And I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more somewhere. Peace, there is more peace somewhere. There is more peace somewhere. And I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more peace somewhere. More joy. There is more joy somewhere. There is more joy somewhere. And I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more joy somewhere.
Thank you for these gifts. May we use them wisely in the service of our congregation and our beloved community. Our church is an active one, and we do more than meet on Sundays. We have several things coming up this week. Today, after the service, the caring team will meet at 12:30 here in the sanctuary, where everyone is welcome. At 12:45, there will be a presentation on runes by Jared Connor in the Hosea Ballou Lounge, which is right outside here. The event is sponsored by Earth Circle, which is a group for people interested in earth-based spirituality, and everyone is welcome. The 10-session course on building your own theology will be starting next Saturday, and Laura McGee will be leading this group. And after today's presentation, I hope that might inspire you to sign up for this course, where you will be developing with a group, with leaders in the UU tradition, building your own theology, very important for each of us individually. I think there's still a few spots available, and you can register today or talk with Laura. And Laura, just raise your hand one more time. Thank you. The free food pantry is in the fellowship hall now. Our theme this month is protein. We invite donations of canned tuna, chicken, other meats, other proteins. Our office manager, Cassie, often has people in need knocking at the door, and she has a chance to distribute some of this food. So if you can add a little bit to your weekly shopping and donate it, that would be very useful in our own small food pantry, but it certainly helps. Okay, that's all the community news that I have in front of me, and if you are interested in getting more involved, seeing what we're doing, we have our bulletin board, we have a weekly newsletter update, and we have a hard copy of the monthly newsletter that can be read on the bulletin boards. We also have a website and a Facebook page, and Facebook groups are always available online. Let's move into our final hymn.
We're going to stop that because it's noon, and there's something that we're having at the end that I would love for everybody to see.
Okay, that'll be fine. So, yeah. We're going to skip this song. All right, we have a final reading. Want to do that? Okay, final reading, and then we will close. Kay will be giving us our final reading.
Extremists of justice. The ultimate weakness of violence is that it is a descending spiral, begetting the very thing it seeks to destroy. Instead of diminishing evil, it multiplies it. Through violence, you may murder the liar, but you cannot murder the lie, nor establish truth. Through violence, you murder the hater, but you do not murder hate. In fact, violence merely increases hate. Returning violence for violence multiplies violence. adding deeper darkness to a night already devoid of stars. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. The question is not whether we will be extremists, but what kind of extremists we will be. Will we be extremists for hate or for love? Will we be extremists for the preservation of injustice or the extension of justice? Martin Luther King, Jr.
Thank you, Kay. We hope you found this service meaningful, and we invite you to share your thoughts about today's service. You can send your comments to sunday-services@uucbg.org, or there's a box right outside, a blue box, that you can leave suggestions. It's time for farewell to our online listeners. We invite you to join us again, either in person or online. Until then, be well and go in peace.